evening. This is Coach's Corner. I'm Brent Blunt, your host, here with Coach Heron of the Wildcats. Coach, another big win in Coffee County, 39-12. Talk about another great start.
Well, we did get off to a good start, and beating Coffee was a big deal for us. We were actually both undefeated in the region going into it, and there's not a lot of margin of error in this region, so you can't fool around and lose to somebody and expect to win the region. So we're very pleased with our start. We jumped out to a 32-0 lead. We're playing very, very well, and then had a little bit of a lull right before halftime and allowed them to score and made it 32-6. And then the second half, I don't know. We've talked about as coaches. I'm not sure we relaxed. I think we did a little bit defensively, maybe. We made a couple of mistakes offensively, but we actually tried an onside kick, which was, in hindsight, probably not the smartest coaching move I've ever made. But we had a 15-yard penalty. Had a big crowd of kids. They had a late hit on our sideline, ran into the sideline, and had a late hit. But we couldn't take the penalty until the start of the second half. So 15 yards, knew Bryce would kick it out of the end zone. So we decided to onside kick it, and we didn't get it. And Coffee kept the ball. Actually, I think completed a long pass on us to make it 32-12. Then we get it, and our quarterback misread the signals. We had switched signalers at halftime to give our opponents that might be watching, something different to look at. And we had swapped signalers, and our quarterback looked at the wrong one twice, and we had two plays called that we didn't exactly want to have called, and so we go 3 and out, and Coffee gets the ball and keeps it the rest of the third quarter. And we didn't let them score anymore, but it was just frustrating having to stand over there and watching them play on offense the rest of the third quarter. But we, righted the ship, had 2 good drives in the fourth quarter, and just kind of scored on one of them, didn't score on one on a bad call on my part. But again, margin of victory is not important to us right now. It's just getting victories in our region, and we were pleased to do that.
It seems, week after week, especially playing in Region 1, so important. That good start that we're getting off to really seems to kind of help settle the kids in. And, I think that's been a big key, week after week is, getting off to that start. And you're talking about the onside kick and, not getting it. But, the other aspect is now people have to, defend that because they've seen it once, even if you don't do it again, it's the idea that you may do it again. So, it may turn out to be something positive.
Well, with high school kids, especially, you want to get confidence early, and there always is doubt there. I don't care who you're playing.
Sure.
Every team, both of them have doubts until they start playing, and so getting off to a good start has been good for us, and hopefully something that we can continue. But we've also got to keep our focus better in the second half, and that's what I talked to them about. We're used to halftime in most of our region games in the past. We're used to getting to halftime and shutting it down and telling the starters they're done for the night and relaxing. But in Region 1, even though we were up 32-6, our opponents have got more pride and more character than that, and they're not going to relax. So that's something we have to adjust to.
Well, and that's a big lesson, in life too, for the kids have to learn that, they've got to, whether it's in the classroom or anything, they have to work all the time, not just part of time to take plays off.
Absolutely.
Who were some of the key players in this, in the game that really stood out with their play?
Well, we had several again, and I hate signaling, pointing kids out because they all played well. But Bryce had a good game again. He certainly kicked every kickoff in the end zone on the night. Made a 43-yard field goal, I think. Punted twice for a 43-yard average, and threw. I think we didn't throw a touchdown pass, I guess, the other night, but caught one. He threw one that should have been. The kid fell on the 6-inch line, but completed some big passes for us. He did a great job running the offense. JJ had another big night. I think he had 2 touchdowns offensively, and intercepted a pass and ran it in for a touchdown. And Jared Davis played very well again at linebacker. Sean Hutchinson played well at linebacker. Raphael Hardy and Travis Johnson, Chris Barr, and Miss Anthony Johnson, our defensive lineman, all played really well. And our offensive line continues to play well. So I think we're rotating a lot of running backs, and Calvarez Besson, Chris Williams, and Antonio Winbush, Jacob Johnson, JJ. All those kids are playing very well. We're rotating a lot of kids at tight end, receiver, and again, we're trying to create depth and keep them going, keep them fresh, and they've all played very well.
Some of the guys at the Bulldog Club wanted me to note that since Bryce now has the school record for touchdown passes, we can get back to running it all the time.
Well, we have.
So now that we got that out of the way, we can get back to what we really do good and not have to worry about records and stuff.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't realize this, but JC sent me this stat. The record that Bryce broke was also held by a wing T quarterback named Emmanuel Bacon, who graduated for us in 2003. So I didn't realize that. I figured surely somebody before him had the record, but that was good. And JC also told me JJ's very close to setting several records, scoring, touchdowns, things like that are, I think, currently held by Brandon West. And I'm not one to get into those records, but I'm glad they're being able to do those things.
Sure. We've got TIFF coming in this week. Talk a little bit about what we can expect from them. What kind of style of play that they offer.
Well, TIFF has a new coaching staff, very much like Coffee. They put a huge commitment into their program. They brought in several new coaches. The head coach is John Reed, who came from East Paulding and was very, very successful there and brought most of his staff with him, I think. And they were playing extremely well. They lost in a game that's kind of hard to believe to a team right at the beginning, first game of the season. And then I think they won 2 or 3 very impressively, beat Houston County 56-0 or something like that. But these last 2 weeks they have lost a tough one to Coffee, a close game to Coffee. But then last week lost by a wide margin to Colquitt County. Now, in that game, though, I was told that they had 5 or 6 starters that were suspended for some reason. We don't know why. But one of those starters that did not play was the running back who is leading our region in rushing. He is a very, very talented kid. And Coach Reed's installed an I formation attack, I guess, very tailback oriented, and this kid's good. And they've got a good quarterback, and they scare us to death. And I've told our kids the last 2 years in Region 1, the team that has won the region has also lost to the team that finished last. And currently TIFF is in last place in our region, 2 games into it. But we certainly can't afford to relax this week.
Sure. Can't take anybody for granted. And, I tell people all the time watching football games, the longer you let some of these teams stay in the game, the more they get to believe they can win.
Absolutely.
And, so getting out to the lead like what we talked about earlier is always a good, good thing.
Well, that's what happened to them the other night. I mean, Colquitt scored the first 4 times they had it, and it kind of just, the game was over. But in previous weeks, when they've been able to score early and have some success, they've really played well. And I'm afraid that's the team we're going to see Friday.
Well, once again, big game Friday night. Asking all the fans to come out, get there early. I'm sure TIFF will be bringing a lot of people over for the game. So tickets are on sale through the athletic office, obviously early, and then obviously at the game as well. So, Coach,
it's also middle school night.
Middle school.
We'll recognize both of our middle schools, and also Mr. Blunt, our athletic director, is trying to organize a canned food drive as part of this, and so if you come to the game, you can bring canned food. That would be certainly appreciated. We're trying to help out our programs here in the county for Thanksgiving and Christmas to make sure that we can feed people. So please, if you can, bring cans to the game, and don't throw them at us or anything, but turn them in there. And again, we hope we have a big crowd. We've been doing pretty good, but TIFF always travels well, and I'm sure they'll have a big crowd.
Well, stay tuned next Thursday. See us again with Coach Heron. Hopefully we'll be celebrating another big win.